Well, welcome everybody. This is the next day. I don't usually shoot in progress videos. I'm going to show you today putting this kingpin or the spindle on the end of the axle. I've got the other side done, but I'd videotape this. And so hopefully you can hear me. There's a little bit of a breeze blowing, but yeah, this is, of course, the spindle. You've got to get it set up properly so that when it sits on here, it'll be flat, level, you know. Put it on this way, and obviously it's pointing up in here. So on the bottom, you can see there's this machine surface. There's a bearing roller. It's got balls bearing in it, and you can see one side has got a surface for that to sit on this, and then the other side's like a dust cover that goes over the top. So you put that on there, and then I've determined that I'm going to need one shim on the top in order to take up a little bit of the slack. So we put that up there, and then you just take and kind of squeeze things together. Sometimes the shim makes it a little bit tough to put it together. So you kind of have to put that in after you get it kind of in place. And you want this to be, from what I'm understanding, somewhat tight, but you don't want it so tight that it binds that bearing. And you can see now I'm putting that shim down underneath here, getting it in place, and I have just a rod that's smaller than the kingpin itself to be able to try to center that shim, and that shim has got to be centered on that hole so that you can take your kingpin and be able to slide it down. Now on the kingpin there's a flat spot right there. Hopefully you can see that. That has got to be faced towards this hole right here, so it's got to go down in like this. So what we do is we just take and I've greased everything beforehand, and there I slid it past the shim, and now it's going down in through the bearing, and you just kind of want to get that in position. And then there is a pin. What did I do with it? I just had it. There it is. It's in the shadows. Here's the pin, and if you look at the pin, it's got a flat edge on it. You know, the rest of it's round, obviously, but it's got a flat edge, and that flat edge lines up with that little notch in that kingpin. So what you do is you take and put this in this hole. You have to look in that hole, kind of. You see where that flat spot's at. And once that kingpin's in place there, it'll move with the spindle. So you just kind of slide that in so that it goes like that. And then, whoops, I did it backwards. It's got to go in this way. So it goes in like this. And then on the back side of this is a stop to keep the spindle from spinning all the way around. And so you put this on, and I did not drill out. What happens, this paint that I use, if you get any down in the hole, it dries so hard that you can't get it over a bolt if there's a tight clearance. So I have to take and run a drill through that, so just hold on and I'll do that. Okay, we've got the hole drilled out, cleaned out, and so now that slides over this bolt, and there's, I don't know if this is on every here, but there's a little indentation in the back that you can kind of see if it's close enough. Anyway, on the back of this plate, there's a little nub sticking up, and it goes into that indentation, and that kind of locates that thing so it won't move. So then after that, put a lock nut on this, or lock washer, I'm sorry. Yeah, back in the day, they didn't have nylock nuts like they do today, which are sure nice. And so you use lock washers instead. And so, I mean, they work, but they also take up more space. You know, they're a washer. So, but anyway, you tighten this up, and this will draw that pin into its position to up against that kingpin, and it will push that kingpin up against the bore, because there's just a bit of slop there, just some play. I mean, inside the kingpin or the spindle, there's bushings on the top and the bottom, which I had replaced, and then I had a machine shop hone those out to fit these kingpins, and they just were perfect. They just slid up and down in there, and that's what you want. No play at all, because if there's any little play in a kingpin, it will really be exaggerated once you put your tire on, and you know, you grab the top and the bottom of your tire and you wiggle it, and you'll be able to tell, even if there was very minute play to begin with. I mean, so you don't want anything. Tighten this up good and tight, and what it does is it draws that pin in, pushes up against this kingpin, and it puts it into place. And then you can see you've got a nice smooth movement on your spindle, and there is no slop whatsoever on that. And if there is slop, they provide in the kingpin replacement kit more shims that you can put another shim underneath this. And I may do that because I don't know if I'm feeling play. I don't really feel any. I guess it was just the axle itself, but yeah, that's good and tight. So that's how you put new kingpins in. And then on the top and the bottom are these little covers, and they just sit in the top, and you have to have this bushing recessed enough, because these act, as you can see, they're kind of concave, and they act like Welch plugs in a carburetor. So you sit that in there like that. You take this driver and place it in the center with a hammer, and you hit that. And what that does is that concave part becomes flat, and when it gets flat, it makes that expand, and so it seals that up. And so there's one on the top. There's also this thing is heavy. And there's one on the bottom. Maybe I can do it right here. And so, I don't know if you can see that. Hopefully you can. But yep, just put that in there, and keep your eye on the punch like that, and that thing is sealed. So now no dirt will get in it, hopefully no water, and of course there are zerks on the back of your spindles here and here that need to be put in, and then those go in, and there's swirls up your bushings on both the top and the bottom, and that grease follows those cuts in the bushings so that it will make the grease travel. But anyway, that's how you put a spindle on as it falls off the table. Okay. imagine this thing probably weighs 50, well, about 25, 30 pounds there. But anyway, thanks for watching.